TELUS is one of those companies where now that they have Pure Fiber, I love the service. Absolutely love the product.
Their uptime is genuinely extremely strong as well.
But
to give them credit.
Over the years, my experiences dealing with TELUS from like an administrative standpoint, going all the way back to high school. Like we are talking, how old am I now? Yeah, we're talking 20 years. I have a 20-year history with them.
I bet you this is true for anyone who's ever worked with like a major ISP.
Shaw has been better by and large from my experience.
Shaw is super like monopolistic and anti-competition in their business practices. Though.
Sure they are. Oh, Shaw's okay.
Aggressively.
Shaw's got some really stupid issues. Did you know you have to call Shaw to put your modem in, or to put your router thing in bridge mode?
Shaw blocks
you know that
TELUS.
router supports putting it in bridge mode just through accessing it over the local IP, but Shaw specifically blocks that functionality so it doesn't work, so you must call them. Or at least they did the last time I used them. I haven't touched a Shaw internet product since TELUS Pure Fiber came to my neighborhood.
I'm also going to put an allegedly in front of this. Because like I don't know, but I've heard from a very wide range of people, so I believe it to be true, that Shaw actively, like legislatively blocks TELUS from putting conduit in new buildings.
Oh, I would believe that. Well, hold on a second. Don't you have some firsthand experience with that? Why don't you just tell that story? I think that's not allegedly. That's a thing that happened to you.
That happened in that building as far as the developer told me.
Sure, then just say that. But I think you should tell the story.
So as far as my understanding goes from more than one developer telling me this, Shaw is seen as like a local ISP and TELUS isn't for some weird reason. And that gives Shaw like first strike at new apartment buildings that go up in British Columbia. And Shaw can just decide that they're going to only put in a certain amount of conduit into the building that only has enough space for what Shaw is going to put
coax garbage,
which does not allow TELUS to put anything in. Effectively, the developer just goes like, okay, well, we're being paid by Shaw and TELUS can't do anything with us at this stage anyway, so we're just going to build the building. And then TELUS, to be able to get service into that building, would have to like tear
out like walls.
They'd have to chop up the building. They'd have to Swiss cheese the building to fit all their new conduit in so they can actually service the building. So tons of apartments in BC, like a huge amount of new apartments, don't have TELUS access. And it's just like, why is this even allowed? That's the most monopolistic thing I've ever heard in the ISP space. Why is that allowed? I don't understand. I've never understood. Like someone in Floodplain chat said it's BS. It sounds like local monopolies. It absolutely is. You're buying into an apartment building is buying into an ISP at this point, which is nuts.
Which was actually a deciding factor for Luke when he was shopping for his place. He was like,
Shaw's fiber isn't fiber.
Oh boy. Oh, we got Luke with the spicy take now.
It's not. Okay, they go fiber to the node. They advertise it as fiber. It's so frustrating. They go fiber to the node. They go copper to your place. TELUS goes fiber to your place.
Yes.
I prefer TELUS right now because they're not just like
FTTH, baby,
blatantly lying to everyone.
Fiber to the home.
Yeah, like that's so much better. Why are you? Oh my goodness.
I have 2.5 gig now.
Oh, we have fiber because we go fiber to the node. Yeah, you've been doing that forever.
Yeah, fiber to the node. How else were you going to get internet service to the node? Like what were you going to do? Send smoke signals to the node? Like, you got fiber optic internet's been a thing for decades.
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
How else were you going to cover that distance?
It's honestly pathetic. Step your game up. Because like we used to be a like Shaw house. My parents' house had access to both.
Yep.
And I like my brother and I like sat our parents down one time and we were like, we got to switch to Shaw. Shaw's the way to go. And they did it and we were stoked for a long time.
Yep.
And now they're just like
TELUS's ADSL.
It was terrible.
Like the number of times, this was my ex-girlfriend in high school, like my high school sweetheart girlfriend. The number of times I had to bring TELUS to her house because Shaw wasn't available there because we were out nowhere, Maple Ridge, okay? And so they had no access to Shaw, and I had to bring them out, I swear to you, like half a dozen times, and every single time they diagnosed a completely separate issue, their ADSL service went down all the time. So frustrating. And man, their customer service was so bad back then.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I used to be on the Shaw side, and then fiber started becoming a thing, and Shaw just stayed in the past.
yeah, they're like, well, what? Don't you like coax?
Isn't
Don't
it
you like
fine?
coax, bro?
In this age of like everyone on the planet trying to be a streamer, isn't it fine that we have this non-symmetrical, you buy like 900 down, and no matter what we
20 up.
advertise you get like 10 up or 20
Yeah.
up, and then like Shaw does their speeds, this is another allegedly, but Shaw does their speeds, as far as my understanding goes, as like sections,
Yeah. Oh, they do.
because it's
that's not even
not
a secret.
fiber to the house.
Yeah. So it's all shared.
So it's all shared. So in
Yeah.
peak times, you're like 10 up, goes down to like 5. And it's like, oh, I just can't do anything.
Now, to be
Oh, my
clear,
goodness.
any ISP is over provisioning. That
Yeah.
is actually normal.
And I don't mind that to a certain degree.
No.
But at peak times, I can speed test my TELUS stuff, and it's pretty much what I'm paying for.
Yeah.
So,
Mine, when they first
sounds
put
good.
it in, I first paid for gigabit, and it was like faster. I was like, oh,
A
no,
lot
no,
of the
not,
time-
I couldn't check the gig. No, it was when I went to 500 at first, and it was faster than 500. And then I had no way of knowing if I was faster than gigabit until I upgraded to greater than gigabit gear later, and it was actually a
makes
little
sense.
higher than gigabit.
I have found if you don't test during like absolute peak, TELUS connections are usually faster than advertised. And like, yes, I'm not a TELUS show. There are downsides, but
Yeah.
right now it's not a competition.
Man, TELUS has managed to screw up almost every single interaction I've ever had with them. Even when we had our ITEL fiber network put in here, when we first upgraded to, I guess it was gigabit when
So
we first did it.
ITEL, just for some context, as
Yeah.
far as my understanding goes, is a small company that runs off of TELUS's backbone, right?
Yeah. So they do their own stuff. Like they do actual engineering and stuff. They're not just like some cheapo reseller.
And they like put down dark fiber and stuff too, right?
But they are not
they're cool.
like a national tier ISP either. They're a relatively small shop, although they've grown a lot in the time we've known them. So when
that's
we
cool.
first engaged with them, they're basically just leasing capacity from TELUS. And their CTO and I spent literally, like, it was either an hour or 2 hours on the phone trying to diagnose why our upload speed was like a tenth of what it was supposed to be. And it turns out that some Butterfingers numbnuts at TELUS just missed a zero. Took forever to fix it.
Oh my goodness.
Like, okay, like literally everything I've ever done with TELUS has kind of been a cluster. But the product these days is very good. So that's that. You got to give credit where credit is due. All right, you got to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, people in chat are saying some ISPs boost their speeds when you go to speedtest.net.
Sure, but there's other ways to test speed.
Yeah,
like
that's what I
I've got a
was gonna
2.5 gigabit connection at home, and I was downloading games off Steam at 280 megabytes a second.
Yeah.
Like
I have surpassed my rated speeds on Steam as well. Like it's
regularly.
Yeah, and Origin and like other services, like it's fast. The one thing that you get with TELUS right now is fast.
And that latency.
You get speed, you get latency.
You get good
The actual connections are really good. Just dealing with them isn't exactly the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it.
Thanks for watching, and thanks to mechanicalkeyboards.com for sponsoring this week's clips. Mechanicalkeyboards.com has a ton of keyboards, switches, keycaps, and more, all from brands you know and love. Check them out and use code LTT using the link in the video description.